Welcome back.
Hi.
Hi.
There you go. Okay, Honcho, you can see now.
All right. So what did you get for number 13?
I got A.
That's correct.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Go, Gladys.
So did anybody have any questions about number 13?
No, I understand.
Nope.
Okay, good.
Our breakout
I
room.
did that first time.
Perfect. So this seems like you're really, doing well in this section,
That is
right?
more easy.
Just thinking about what you have to do, like a story, talking it through, right? Because it's not, you want to make sure you do the right things with the numbers. So for number 13, you've got A, answering the question correctly. Number 14, go back in the group.
Okay.
Oh, go back to food. That's fast.
Okay.
I didn't even do that one because I didn't understand it. I didn't do 14 or 15. Let me see if I can. All right, so each kind of grass you have 400 square feet. What is the radius of the nearest foot? The largest lawn that can be planted with 2 pounds of grass seed. All right, so I'm assuming that this is the circumference, so 2 pounds would equal 800 square feet. Okay, so C equals 5 times B, and 800 is B. 3.14 D divided.
I square root the 254 square root, and I got 1593, but I rounded up 16, but I'm not sure. I got 1593. Did y'all get a different answer? Or?
Yeah. So let me.
If it's actually right.
I'm gonna guess with you because I don't know neither.
Sounded like you were on the right track when I was in here a second ago.
Sneaky.
Left around the time you said 800. That's definitely what you want to start with.
So do I divide that by 3.14 or?
Yep.
That's what I did.
Okay, I got 254.7, and then I'm lost after that. I don't know.
Right.
So I'm going to write down the actual formula, but what you want to think about is you are finding the area. So the real formula is pi r squared. So when you divide by the pi, you have r squared left over. So it's always good to write the formula because then it seems more like an algebra problem. And you can,
That's
what's left?
I did the formula for circumference. That's why. Let me try.
Okay. So yeah, once you're talking about grass seed covering, it's area.
Okay.
100 divided by pi is 254. And that, I think
Yes.
that's it.
And then I square root that. Square root it.
So I dipped in to hear what you were talking about a couple of times, but I didn't get to the final part. So what answer did you get for number 14?
H.
That is correct.
Yeah, I got H.
So what you're doing, let me write that formula.
It's 14 times.
You're really thinking that you are doing area. So the idea is that once you are looking at covering the grass, so seeding, mowing the lawn, anything like that, and when they say square feet, that's also another clue. So you should be thinking about the area equals pi r squared. So they're telling you that 1 pound is going to be 400 square feet. 2 pounds would then be 800 square feet. So you want to divide by pi. And when you do that, I heard the number 254.
Yes.
But the rest of the formula that you have left is the r squared. So what you want to really do is say, what is the square root of the 254? And then that will give you what r is, which is a radius. And that's the question, because they could have said, what's the diameter? But they did say, what is the radius? So that means when you do the square root and get the 1593, it does say to the nearest foot. So that means you are going to round up to the number 16. Any questions about that one?
Where you get the 1593 from?
The square root of the 254. So I heard you say the number 254. I heard you get to that number. So what you want to think of is, what is the actual formula? The formula is area. So when you divide by pi, you have r squared left over. So when you get 254, that's really r squared. So you're going to have to use the square root button on your calculator to find out what is just the radius before you squared it. So this is part of like working the formula backwards. And then you're saying, you know, to the nearest foot is the clue that you need to round up. And also they're telling you the 2 pounds, right? So you also have to be working with the number 800. So you have to use that on your own, just from following the word problem, following the story. That number 800 is not in the word problem, right? So you had to come up with that first and then find the square root of the number 254. So this is how the problems, and still like you're discussing it, you might have looked at it already, but if you think you know what to do from the vocabulary, the question still should not take you more than like the 4 minutes, right? So this is the same pace that you want to have when you go take the test. Some of them are going to be 1 minute and be really easy, and then some of them might be 3 minutes, but you're talking yourself through it to get to the answer. And then if you don't know, you're making the educated guess, but you're also flagging. So what I'm going to do today is put up a task practice website from the TASC company. So they don't have as much questions, but they do have, it looks like it really is going to look for your test, where you can see the flagging button and stuff like that. So you might have hard questions that we haven't gotten to, like functions and stuff like that, but I just want you to see the website so that you can see what I'm saying about math. So I know some people have taken a test already, and you know what the testing platform looks like, but some people have never taken the test. And when I'm saying on math, you want to make a selection when you know, You want to narrow it down when you're not sure and then make a guess. You want to just straight guess if you've never seen it before. And then the last thing is, if you're really not sure, you want to flag it so that you can come back at the end of the test. So there's never a blank answer on the math, on any test. There's no point in having a blank answer. Even if you don't know and the clock is running out, then it's time to just straight guess. But what you want to do is not let the clock run out. So like this couple of take 3 minutes, that's what you want to do. So the way that you're talking it out, it might go a little bit faster because you're going to take the test by yourself, of course, right? So you want to have that same, the dialogue that you have out loud right now, you want to have that to yourself. Like, okay, what is this question? What is the first thing I should do? I'm thinking I should do this. You want to really do that when you're taking the test because it helps you calm down, relax, and it also helps you pace yourself. When you do all that and you're like, I don't know what to do, that's when you're like, should it be a large number or a small number? You know, like that's when you start trying to eliminate one or two. If you think you could figure it out with more time, that's what you're flagging for. But again, you can't flag more than like 5 questions, right? Because we're saying if you took a 50-question test and you flagged 20 questions, you're turning that into a 70-question test. Because now you got to look at those 20 questions again. So you want to only flag the very few that you think, if I had an extra minute, I probably could figure this out, right? So I just want you to see how that looks, because it can be a lot when you're reading the directions the day that you're taking the test. So looking at it in advance again is just to help you relax and get practice, but I think it might only have like 5 to 10 questions on it, just for you to practice using the platform. So that's from the TASC website, but I'm going to put the link up for you today for tomorrow, just to look at it for some extra practice. But this is what you want to be thinking. If I could figure it out, I'm making the guess. If it's open-ended, I could do that last, right? So if you read the open-ended and you feel like this is too much, make sure you hit all the multiple choice where you do at least see the right answer, right? Because if you only have 2 open-ended questions and you get them wrong, that's not that big of a deal. But if you focus all your energy on the open-ended and you leave 5 multiple choice and get them wrong, then that's worse, right? So if you're not in the mood to do the open-ended math questions where you have to type in an answer or you have a grid or something like that, flag those and leave those for last. And make it through all the ones where you could predict and maybe eliminate. Because this is like, we're studying and we're learning and we're progressing. But you also have to do a test strategy when you go. You also have to do like, I'm relaxed. Like we said, I drank water for the last month. I ate breakfast, all the things that make you be in the best mindset when you go take the test, right? So then you're just saying, which one should I answer first? I should do all the multiple choice first and get them out of the way, right? This is now preparation and then test taking strategy, matching up together so that if you would have got like 498, you're definitely now at 550, right? So you don't want to take the test again. After you take June, after this quarantine.
Can I bring my index card with all the formulas to the test?
You know what I'm actually going to show you is a memory technique. I'm going to put that up too, because like the same way we were doing spelling and holding it up and to the right for you to activate your photographic memory, you can do that with your index cards. You know, where you're like, let me close my eyes. Some people do this automatically. If you're like, what's the formula? Some people are going to see it from Math is Fun. Like in that color with a light blue background, right? This is just how we remember things. So what we're trying to do is figure out how we already remember things, like songs and phone numbers and commercials. There's a way that your brain is already like has a affinity towards. Then you're trying to learn some other ways from other people and say, oh, I kind of like that. That would work for me, right? And then you're trying to do all of that in order to pass the test. So if you like we said, I'll also put up a quiz because I think we did this in class, but if you know that you're visual, you want to memorize everything that way. If you know that you're auditory, you want to say pi times diameter. You want to say the words out loud, right? All of that. Now you want to do all of them, but you definitely want to do the one that you already like, because you don't want to treat math like it's not memorizing a phone number or memorizing your lines from a movie, right? You want to treat it like it's something you like. A little bit of pretending, but you want to be like, I'm getting along with geometry. How would I normally memorize this? If you like the index cards, you should use color. You should draw things, because that memory will help you, right? So we have one last one, and this is cooking. So let's see how you do with this one.
Which one?
This is number 15. John, I used 2 cups of flour to make the dough for a pizza.
We didn't get that one.
Oh, you don't have that one?
I don't have it.
Great, then let me pull it up on the screen and we'll do it live.
No!
Oh, yes, I do. Oh, yeah.
It was just on the page by itself. So let me share.
Share.
Number 15 says, Jonna used 2 cups of flour to make the dough for a pizza with an 8-inch diameter. What is the diameter in inches of the largest pizza she can make using the dough made from 4.5 cups of flour? So you're thinking about what she made with the 2 cups of flour. And now she has a chance to do it with the 4.5 cups of flour.
She's gonna have.
Is it D?
Which one?
D?
Nope, not D.
Wait.
Is it C?
C.
Not C.
Okay.
It's like 2 cups. She makes
8.
4 cup. Gonna be 16.
No, wait.
Diameter.
Wait. What is the diameter in inches?
Okay.
The largest
0.5.
inches using the. Okay, let's see.
Into X. Stay away.
Don't tell me yet.
So this one's a lot of steps.
It's a 2 geometry.
I don't know.
So let me pull up the whiteboard.
I've been on you for 4 months now. I lost 27 pounds. I feel like I got my life back.
So you're thinking she's got 2 cups of flour to make the dough for a pizza with an 8-inch diameter. So now what you're saying is, what is the area of the pizza that she made with the 8-inch diameter, right? So this is
8 divided by 2.
area equals,
4.
let me do this pi. Pi r squared. So if she had an 8-inch diameter, what would her radius be?
4.
So you're gonna say A equals pi and then 4 squared.
5. 4 square.
So the area
And then
is, oh, I'm sorry,
so
50.24.
I got that. That's where I kept getting stuck at.
So now when you do this, what you're thinking is, this is what you did for 2 cups of flour, right? So this is where we only did this a little bit when we did measurement. And I think we only did that for like 1 day or 2 days in a break in between. chapters. So we can go over measurement again, because sometimes they just throw it in like this. In cooking or in construction, you'll see feet or miles like we saw running the track. So sometimes you can forget about measuring something. What you're saying is you have to remember that this 50.24 is for 2 cups. So what you want to do is say, how much could she have done for 1 cup? You want to divide the 50.24 into 2. So when you divide this by 2, you get 1 cup.
25.12
is 25.12, right? So now you have the 1 unit rate. Like we said, if you buy a dozen donuts, but you want to know how much 1 costs, you have to divide by 12. If you're going to do like a foot, but you want to know what 1 inch would be, you got to divide by 12, right? So a lot of times what you have to do is come up with the 1 unit rate, which for this would be, if she could do this in 2 cups, what could she do with 1 cup? When you get the 1 cup, now you can apply it to the new recipe. So you're going to multiply now because you need to have 4.5 cups, right? So that would mean you're going to say the 25.12 times 4.5.
Yeah, Devin. Yeah.
So did you get 113.04?
Yes. Yes.
So now this means that this is what the area is going to be of the new pizza.
This fish sample was altered.
So now you're saying it's going to be 113. And you should divide both sides by pi.
It would be 12.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yep.
12.
It's 12. So it is B. So now even this, they don't have the number 6 on there, but you're saying if the radius is 6, then the diameter is 12. So for this one, this was kind of like, this is definitely a measurement problem, because what they wanted you to do is, what is the area of this pizza that she can make with the 2 cups of flour? You're using the 8-inch diameter to get the radius of 4, to then use the formula for area and come up with the 50.24. But you still have to be thinking that this is what she could do with 2 cups. So now there's a lot of different ways. You could bring it down to 1, or you could say, here's 2 cups, let me double that, and then let me figure out what a half a cup would have been, right? So you still are saying that she would have been working with a number that's into the hundreds, however you thought about it. Now what I did was just say 50.24 is 2 cups, let me divide by 2 so that I can work with the single unit rate and get 1 cup. Then I multiply that back up to the 4.5 and work with that area, and then use the area formula a second time in order to get a new radius. And then make sure that I'm answering the question, which is about diameter, so then I'm going to double my answer that I got for the radius. So any questions about this one?
No, I don't have any questions about that one, but I missed the answer to number 14 because my mother called on the phone.
Okay, it is H.
H.
Rounded
Okay, got
up.
it. Thanks.
Yes, yep. So now this is it for circle. So officially, you're just saying to yourself, you know, how did you do with circumference, area, and then working backwards to radius and diameter. So what we're officially going to do now is work with composite shapes. So we're going to do something different because we're going to go back to, I'm going to put up a new Aztec, a new Khan Academy, but I'm also going to scan the textbook this time since we have it. So this will be like the regular textbook we were using in the classroom to introduce the subject. And then at the end, we'll come back to this TASC exercise book. So the TASC exercise book is the hardest, right, that we have. The most challenging multiple step and multiple choice questions. But we're going to just look at now composite shapes, which means if you have a combination in some way, where you have to use now maybe area with circumference. Like we said, if there's like a basketball half court and you're saying half of it is a semicircle and the rest of it is a rectangle, which this was also on study jams. So it's called irregular shapes on study jams, where you just have to combine more than one formula. And then we're gonna just, now you might get something like that. That's again on the harder level, because you're gonna have to use 2 different formulas. Or you might get something that's just really simple, like volume of a box. So you're just trying to be prepared for everything. This might take us, we'll see, because now we're actually I'm gonna show you the textbook. But we're not gonna do it the same way that we were doing in class, like page by page. It's just in case you like reading better, right? So some people like Khan Academy, some people like Aztec and have been using it no problem, but some people do miss paper and pencil and printing and like writing on the page if you want the vocabulary words that way. So all this is gonna be is like a chapter going along with the Khan Academy and Aztec. So when I put this up for tomorrow and Friday, I'm probably gonna start with study jams, excuse me, because that's the easiest foundation. I think that already might be up of irregular shapes. Then we're gonna do Khan Academy, because I also think his style is more simple and direct, like a tutor. Then I'm gonna put the link up for Aztec. So I'm saying today, tomorrow will be study jams and Khan Academy. Friday we'll be looking at it on Aztec and the textbook. And then we will do the exercises from the textbook Friday, a little bit tomorrow, a little bit Friday, and finish it on Monday. So in the instructions, I'll make a suggestion, like just do number 1 through 5 or, you know, something like that so that you can kind of take a look at it before the class. Because again, the idea is if you want, you can stay on to the class longer to ask me questions, or you can come to the class with a question about number 6 so that you make sure you're getting some individual assistance also. So I want you to be able to be prepared, like look at it in advance. But same thing, if you look at it afterwards and you have a question, you can send me a text message.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
I see. Miss,
Do you have any idea how many formulas do we have to memorize?
I'm gonna say memorize square, rectangle, triangle, circle, and maybe like parallelogram, because that's very easy, and trapezoid. Now that is basically all the shapes we did, but what I'm saying is,
I already have like a lot.
The reason why I'm saying that is we haven't done the 3D shapes yet.
Okay.
A lot of the 3D shapes, let me show you one 3D shape that I'm thinking of.
Because I have the formula of parallelogram is base times height, and then area of triangle, and then perimeter of the rectangle, and perimeter of a square, perimeter of polygram, and circumference. What else?
So I am saying memorize as many of these 2-dimensional shapes as you can, because like if you take a look at this one, this is a cylinder, right? When we get to the 3D shapes, I think it's actually gonna go by faster in a way, right? So if you're looking at a cylinder, this would be like if you buy a can of soup or something, and it's in this kind of a shape. A cylinder formula is really only pi r squared with height. Because what you're doing is you're taking the flat circle and you're giving it height, right? So in my opinion, when it comes to memorizing cylinder, you almost don't have to do it in a way. So now it seems like I'm saying memorize a lot of them, but what I'm really saying is get familiar with the 2-dimensional shapes. Because a lot of times for the 3-dimensional, you're just adding the H. So it's kind of like you're gonna put in some effort to say, I should know that everything with a slant is base times height. And I can categorize it like that. I should say triangle is like that. Parallelogram is like that. Anything with a slant. So now that's also trapezoid, right? Where I'm looking for base and height. Then if I'm looking at a circle, I'm saying I just need to make sure that I have pi in there. Pi times diameter, pi r squared. Now when it comes to volume, it's not that much more to add. You're just saying, oh, a cylinder is a circle with height. A box is a rectangle with height, right? A pyramid then becomes, or maybe like, pyramid might not be a good example because that's a square bottom. But a cube is the square with height, right? So some of the ones, when we get to volume, you're not gonna have to memorize because all you're gonna say is I'm adding height to the one that I already memorized. So this in two-dimensional might be, it's seeming like it's taking us longer, but even the composite shapes, you're not really gonna memorize anything new. You're just gonna put two formulas together. If there's like a square with a triangle on top as a little roof or something, that's not a new formula. That's just, let me use two of them. So I think the real investment in memorizing is in the two-dimensional shapes. Okay. Just to get familiar with what's the rule of a triangle, what's the rule of a rectangle, what's the rule of a circle. And then as you start to combine them, you're using the same old things you memorized. And then as you start to do the three-dimensional, you're just thinking about the same shape with height. So I think, maybe not, to me, parallelogram, base times height is almost like length times width. I'm only remembering that it's slanted. So even when you're, and I'm gonna put something up from the guy that I posted the other day, Jim Quick. I'm gonna put up a video from him, like how to learn anything fast, which is just making these associations and categories for yourself. Like really trying to say, what's the first thing that I have to memorize that will be the domino that knocks over the second thing, third thing, fourth thing, fifth thing. That's what you're trying to do, is make a chain in your memory. Just like when you hear a song from 10 years ago, and you're like, oh, that was when I was in high school or my junior high school dance, and I had a crush on Susie, right? All of the memories come back off of the first 3 seconds of a song. That's how your brain really works, right? So you're trying to do that.
It's like Gladys said that she's going to remember First Lady's name because her sister's name is the same one. So, but
that's how it goes.
I already forgot her name. Daisy or Denise, something like that.
Daisy.
Exactly, right? This is how anything you want to remember, you do that. What's the strategy going to be? Now, if I say her name is Daisy, I might be thinking of a real flower.
A flower, okay.
Right? Or do you remember like Daisy Duck from the cartoons?
Yes,
you might remember that.
Yes.
Or you might be saying, like, I know someone in real life who's already named Daisy, right? We make these kind of associations. Like, when I meet her, I'm going to picture a flower over her head. I will never forget that she wants me to call her Daisy. Once you do that one time, you have it forever. It just becomes the trigger, right? So that's the same thing you're trying to do with this, which might not seem as fun, but it's meant for you to embed it in your memory. Like the songs that you hate, but you still know the lyrics to. You don't want to know those, but you know them from repetition or rhythm, right? I'm saying invest in the two-dimensional shapes the most. Okay. And truthfully, you're not going to get them all. So it's a little bit of an over-investment, but it's worth it. And then you can forget them all.
Yep.
After you take your test.
Also, whenever we see, if we already did this, whenever we see the problem, the memory is gonna go like, oh, this
That's
is what
true.
we're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
So that's why we're working these out and even talking about them, because it might be something that somebody else says that reminds you. It might be one of these problems that then is the trigger to helping you figure it out. And that's all you're really trying to do is eliminate and have a trigger, right? So, and these are the hardest ones again. So we'll see when we go back to the textbook that they are a little bit easier again, because it's the introduction. So tomorrow I'm saying at least make it through the Khan Academy, like what would be what I'm gonna call the introduction. And then I will also scan the chapter and we'll just go over it. We're not gonna read it word for word, but I'll tell you the problems that we're gonna do. And we'll do the same thing, maybe like 5 problems a day and then build back up to 7.3 is what we're technically on. We're gonna do that in the TASC exercise book. And I'm also gonna put up the TASC website so you can try to see how do you really flag something, what does it look like? And then we'll see when the testing center is open. I know some people paid already. You'll be the first ones in line, people who paid for a subject, whenever the testing center does open back up, but it is looking like June. So that's why I was saying, you know, whatever it is that you want to do, you have 40 something days. We're going to master these 40 something days and make the most out of them, because actually you really are in a good position. We are not going to start over. There's no new people coming for the next couple of weeks, which means we can go deeper, further than we would have been able to do. So that means you're going to be masters of these subjects and be ready to take at least 1 or 2 tests as soon as the school opens back up or any other, you know, testing center opens back up. So if you have a question, you can stay on and ask. If not, you can hang up and I'll see you tomorrow.
We're gonna
Anyway, thank you for the video.
What'd you say, Zayla?
We're gonna be the class of coronavirus.
Yeah, hey, I'm never gonna forget this class. Now I already love all of you, but now we are together forever. When somebody says, "What were you doing during 2020 coronavirus quarantine?" We're never gonna forget this.
No, never.
Yes, yes.
So, great
Memories.
Yep. All right.
Hasta mañana.
All right.
Okay,
Thank
me.
you. Have a nice.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay, have a
Joe.
good one.
Bye.
God bless you
Bye.
all. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.